Hi, I'm Melissa and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be doing the Author Newbie Tag. Many people have done it before me. It seems like it's a couple of years old at this point, so I'm kind of, late to the game, but here we go. The first question is, what's your book's pitch? I have a lot of ideas that are brewing and kind of, formulating in my head, but the one that I'm most stuck on at the moment is this cozy fantasy between a witch and apothecary owner, and they go on an adventure and they fall in love. I'm pitching it as Legends and Lattes meets The One Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. Generally, I write in the fantasy space. It's kind of where I've always been gravitated towards and kind of have read voraciously in that genre ever since I was a little kid. Next question is, if you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? If I were to pitch myself as a book, author Melissa, who has a deep interest in plants and witchy shit, has decided to start a YouTube channel while also writing fantasy and lives on the East Coast. Number 4 is, what is something that you will never write? And I just don't think that nonfiction is for me. As a writer, I have really no interest in it. I read a little bit of it here and there when it pertains to some of my interests, but I don't see myself writing it ever. What is your goal for starting your Authortube? I started off my Bookstagram in 2017 or thereabouts. Hopped onto TikTok in 2020, 2021. It feels like time has flown. After the TikTok ban and then bringing TikTok back, I decided that I was going to kind of move over to YouTube while also making TikTok now that TikTok is no longer gone. But I wanted the stability of having a video format of some sort in addition to my Instagram. My goal is to ideally, when I have a book, to be able to promote that book, but also to make some writer friends. So I think my goal is to create friendships, learn about other people's books. I strictly view this YouTube channel as I'm an author and I'm talking about my books. Because if you have seen my Instagram or my TikTok, I talk about my authors and their books. To kind of give you some backstory real quick on that is that I am an editor at an independent publishing house. And I've been really struggling with the idea of how do I talk about the books that I'm enjoying and pleasure reading and reviewing while I'm also in this role where I acquire books and I edit books and then I put those books out into the world. And I've kind of struggled with that a lot over the past several years. I started acquiring books in 2021. When it comes down to it, I've kind of decided that I'm no longer going to be reviewing books on any of the platforms that I am a part of, but kind of more talking about the books that I just really enjoy. And now, as I'm kind of navigating this this foray into my writing once again, and kind of making it more of a real go at it, I'm talking more about my own writing. To answer the question, to sum it up, I am looking forward to talking about my writing, talking about my books, making friends on here, but strictly as an author. Number 6 is, what made you want to start writing? And I have been writing since I could hold a pencil. And by that I mean I have always been writing short stories. I've always been writing these long, epic, not quite fully formed stories in my head. I think I finished my first YA novel when I was 13 or 14. That was like freshman in high school is when I completed this super messy draft. That was kind of like this shining, proud moment for me, right? That manuscript should never see the light of day, ever. But that's kind of to illustrate that I've always been writing. I have changed the genres that I work on a little bit more. As an adult, I now only write adult novels. I no longer really read YA, so I see myself staying in that adult space. Next question is, what is your publishing path? I am looking to go traditional publishing. It is the only way I have interest in publishing. I would much rather have someone who has the marketing money, the marketing experience, the production money to create my novel and kind of put with it its distribution and push that book out into the world. Number 8 is, what content do you bring to Authortube? And I do have a master's in publishing. I have 6 years of experience in working in publishing. So I guess I can help to demystify that process a little bit without going too much into it as someone who, that's my job. Because again, my hope is that this is more on the me as an author rather than me as an editor. And I've always been a creative person. I've always been writing. And so even though I have a job that correlates directly to the goal that I would like to get into, I struggle with that a lot, as I'm a publishing professional, but also I am someone who is aspiring to be published. I feel like a lot of the things is that I've put up these internal roadblocks that may not actually exist and create these like invisible rules that may or may not actually exist. At the end of the day, like, I am just a person who is trying to write a book, and I do have a master's in this space, and so I can use my information from that to kind of give some insight into the publishing industry. And I saw it a lot when I was on my Bookstagram, where I didn't tell anyone where I worked, and then I kind of revealed that I worked in publishing, and then I kind of pulled it back and took it out of my bio. And so it's always been kind of something that I've struggled with, I think, is, you know, how much do I reveal of that I work in publishing, and how much do I, you know, keep internalized? So I think creating the boundary of YouTube is solely for my author journey, and I can give insight into publishing if that's something that people are interested in, but I'm trying not to let it seep into every aspect of my content creation, of my journey. Next one is, what is your biggest writing struggle? I am a chronic underwriter, so it takes several drafts for me to get to a finished draft with a word count that actually works. So right now I'm at 26,000 words for my cozy fantasy, but I know that it should be something like 40,000 because I'm not delving deep into the atmosphere that I want. So I'm on draft 0, so I'm hitting like just the major pacing moments, but I've got to go back in on draft 1 and really just kind of inject a word count into it. So chronically I underwrite. Number 10 is, what is your biggest writing skill? I'm really good at finding comps and really good at pitching books. I think that's one of my strengths. If I'm new to Authortube, what are some of my questions? How do people create steady content without, you know, burning out? That's something I've always struggled with creating content on social media, is that I always worry that I'm going to burn out after, you know, a couple posts or making a lot of content. I did a lot of YouTube when I was in middle school and high school, and granted, none of those channels have seen the light of day in several decades. But the one thing I struggled with was, how do I create video ideas? How do I manage creating content? So I think that's one thing that I'm kind of posing to the Authortube community is, how do you make content and not struggle with making content in case it feels too repetitive? Or how do you create new ideas that spark joy to make a video to then post onto YouTube? Next is, are you looking for any new channels to follow? I think I'm looking for other writers who are kind of in that similar draft 0 phase as me, seeing the struggle and going through the struggle of writing a book. I would love to see more people talk about that. I always see a final product when I'm working. And so part of me is like, oh, like my writing isn't as good as the people I publish. But that's because I'm sure that there have been several drafts in polishing, and beta readers and alpha readers and CP partners. And so I think that imposter syndrome is me seeing a final product versus me seeing my draft 0, which is just honestly at this point outlines and beats and some dialogue, and just trying to like get the story out of my head and onto the page. So I would love to see people who are struggling with it too, and kind of just mucking through and getting to create a draft 0 or a draft 1, how they incorporate CP notes, and kind of how they go about editing their novels the first time. Or, you know, more experienced Authortube people who have done this for years and years and years, and kind of maybe I can become inspired by how they create content, because I think this is going to be a very bare bones. I threw this together based on me creating things from Canva or whatever video editing software I have. So I think seeing other people and how they create their YouTube channels and how they create their videos, and kind of learning more about the process in order to then maybe polish mine a little bit more. There's so many different ways to edit a video to create content. So I think I'm just kind of looking for people to watch, people to learn more about. So thank you for watching this. I am excited and nervous to put this out into the ether. Would love to hear recommendations from other people on YouTube about what to post next, or who to watch next, and excited to keep on writing my book, obviously. Hopefully you enjoy watching me, or if not, let me know. And this will be the last video I post on YouTube. Bye guys.